Before you watch anything else on trading, watch this. What you're about to hear is a private 32-minute mindset masterclass that I delivered to my students. It's the exact mental framework that I've built over 8 years of trading to stay calm, follow my rules, and stack winning and profitable weeks and months without the emotional roller coaster that wipes most people out. If you've been struggling with revenge trading, over trading, letting P&L control your mind, or if you are just looking to get into trading for the very first time, this will be extremely valuable for you. My name is Andy Antiles, the founder of Greystone Trading, and if you want my team and I to help you build a simple, rules-based approach to earning extra reliable income from the stock market, click the link in the description, fill out the short 30 to 60-second application, and schedule a call with my team. Now, let's get into the training. Alrighty, well, good morning, everyone. You know what? I'm just gonna share screen, and I just have the S&P 500 futures chart up just so that we have something to keep us stimulated here. But I wanted to take the opportunity with the equity market being closed today, with us not having the opportunity to trade options today, to discuss a lot about the mindset side of trading and becoming a highly successful and profitable trader within our system. And mindset really is a very, very significant part of the battle in seeing massive success. So thank you all for taking the time this morning and looking to learn especially this side of the game, because it's a little bit less tactical, and it is extremely important, though it isn't quite as tactical as finding winning entries and finding awesome setups to be trading on a daily basis, right? So I'm going to focus on a couple different pieces here, and the first is awareness. Okay, and awareness, the importance of awareness, manifests itself in a few different places in trading within our system, and at different points in our journey as we progress and become better. It pops up in different ways. And so I'm going to start with sort of phase one, which is the early part of your journey, when you're mastering execution, you're learning the basics of technical analysis and plotting levels. And the core point here is that your job at this point in your journey is learning and execution, and not income. And when I say awareness, what I mean by that is to define the period of time that you're in. To be very aware and to tell yourself, right now, what I'm optimizing for is learning, is becoming a black belt in execution, learning this new software that is Webull or Interactive Brokers or whatever brokerage you're using. And that is your goal. So if you're trading 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4 contracts, we'll get to 4 contracts in just a second, you need to be very aware of the game that you're playing. And the game that you're playing is one where you are getting lots of reps, you're getting good screen time, and you're learning the very necessary skills that you must be proficient in order to ultimately see success. But at the stage of the journey that you are currently in, right? If you're paper trading, if you're trading 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4 contracts, you are not optimized for profitability, right? Especially sub 4 contracts where you can't use the risk management system in its entirety. It's very important to, again, have that awareness to define the season that you're in. And if we don't define it, we can sort of, not have a ton of clarity about what we're doing right now. It, I feel very much this way about life in general, to define the season that you're in. For example, if you're, working really, really hard and working hours longer than what you would typically work. If you don't define that period as, hey, for the next 3 months, I'm putting my head down, I am grinding, I am chasing this milestone, or this is what is required of me professionally right now. And for the next 3 months, my head is down. Unfortunately, I'm going to be sacrificing things, things that are important to me that I cannot do right now. That's the season that I'm in. And defining that and being very aware of that will allow you to stay level-headed and see that through. But if you don't define that period for yourself, it just feels like you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off without clear direction, without clear intention, right? And so at this point in your journey, in those first bunch of weeks, um, let's define that period. Let's be aware of the game that it is that we're currently playing. And even at four contracts is really where you can begin to play the game the right way in its entirety. But still, you are not involved in activities that are optimized for very significant profitability, for scaling your account in a dramatic, significant way. And we need to be aware of that. At this stage, when you're trading four contracts, your P&L is feedback on how you're doing, but it certainly shouldn't be your identity, and it shouldn't be your number one priority because you're not, again, involved in activities. The activities that you're involved in on a daily basis are not ones that are optimized for seeing massive success in your account, right? And most importantly, perhaps, over fixating on daily P&L when you're trading these small number of contracts. It ultimately, in my experience, creates forcing trades, revenge trading, cutting winners early, right? Breaking rules to make it back. And it creates all of these bad habits when in this stage of our journey, really what we're focused on is creating good habits, winning habits that will allow us to see extraordinary continued scalable success. So I would replace what I just mentioned, forcing trades, revenge trading, etc., with asking yourself the question, instead of asking how much did I make today when we're in these beginning stages of our journey, with asking, did I execute correctly? Did I follow the rules? Did I take the right setups? Right? Now, as we progress to sort of phase two, which is scaling and going into income generation mode, awareness, likewise, is of utmost importance in a bit of a different way. At this stage, we need to be hyper aware every single day of where is my weekly P&L at right now? What is my weekly target? How close am I to my weekly target? If I've exceeded it, by how much have I exceeded it? How much breathing room do I have? How much do I need to size down in order to protect that target? Do I need to reduce size to simply lock in a winning week and understand that I'm not going to hit my target this week, but at the very bare minimum, I am locking in a winning week? And the other piece here that maybe I should have mentioned a minute ago is a critical sort of awareness rule that we must have is that copying trades cannot be what we're doing when we enter into scaling mode. When we're trading with 50, 100, 200 contracts, we cannot be doing that when we're copying trades. If you're copying trades and not entering from your own conviction, again, you have to be aware that you are not self-sufficient yet. Because when you copy trades, you will get different fills on nearly every single transaction, every buy and sell. And ultimately, you're going to be following someone, whether it be myself, Jerry, Ryan, who has a different P&L at the moment, who's had a different performance for the week, for the month, because like we just mentioned, it's impossible to tail any one of us to the T and have that exact same performance. And copying it can, and I think really is for anyone, a very important part of learning. But again, it's incompatible with making the decision of scaling to 50 to 200 plus contracts, right? Scaling is earned by self-sufficiency. We earn the opportunity to scale and to play this game where we can see infinite scalability in our income, completely uncapped without needing to worry about any of the headaches that you'd need to be consumed with in any other business opportunity, right? We don't need to be ordering more inventory. We don't need to be hiring more employees. We don't need to be dealing with more complex issues as we scale. It's this incredible, incredible opportunity where once we are profitable, our income will naturally scale. It is the natural thing that happens by the simple fact of more capital being in our account. And in order to earn that, you have to be self-sufficient. You have to be self-sufficient. So being profitable, copying trades doesn't earn you the opportunity to start trading with 50 or 100 contracts. Okay. So I want to recap briefly, why is awareness so important? And if you think about in any field in life, the vast majority of people go through life going through the motions. They completely go through the motions without any sort of intention, awareness of what their goals are, if their inputs are aligned with their goals. They are unaware with how they're perceived by other people, how they communicate to their loved ones, how their relationships are going with their loved ones. And the people that thrive, again, in any field of life are incredibly intentional about how they go about these things. Incredibly, incredibly intentional. And so really what we're talking about here is intention and not having our head in the clouds, not being sort of completely aloof and acting based on animalistic instinct that we all have inside of us, but leveraging the free will that human beings have. The one thing that makes us different from the animal kingdom is our ability to have free will and our ability to contemplate. Our ability to contemplate. That is what separates human beings from animals, is the ability to have that instinct that is driven by our nature, but then to contemplate and to rely on our intellect and ultimately make a decision that is separate from the natural instinct and desire that we have. And so we must use that. We must use that. And instead of going through the motions, and what does going through the motions mean in this context? Well, I would say that week after week, month after month, what your trading inputs and workday consists of is jumping on the live session at 10 a.m., jumping on the live session at 2 p.m., and taking the trades with whoever's leading live trading that day. And that was your work for the day. You completely went through the motions, right? You didn't spend time learning on your own. You didn't spend time reviewing your entries for the day. You didn't spend time reviewing price action for the day. You didn't jump on charts on your own and plot your own levels. And you can sort of trick yourself into thinking that you are being productive. But showing up is not only the bare minimum, but it doesn't ultimately get you to where you want to go to, right? Someone who goes through the motions professionally, with their full-time job, where they're, 60 years old and they've been earning the same income for the last 35 years, they can wake up and make get their coffee, drive to work, sit there at their desk, go through the workday, come back home, not be so nice to their spouse, be an average father or mother. They can go through the motions and trick their mind into thinking that they're living a productive life. They're going to work every day. They're doing what they can do to show up. But there's a very clear lack of intention and in clear direction. So again, what awareness means in this context is understanding the game that you're playing. And What I mean by that is the inputs that you're doing, the daily activities that you're doing, what outcome are they aligned with? Is trading just a hobby for you? Where you love being a part of the ecosystem here? And listen, that's okay. That's okay, right? You love hanging out with us. You love the energy. You love the calls, and you don't really want to spend time outside of the sessions doing all the things that we talk about that I just mentioned a minute ago that truly supports the desired outcome that I think we all told ourselves we wanted when we joined this program, which was to be a self-sufficient, profitable trader. So if that's the outcome that we want, then we have to play the game. We need to abide by daily inputs, by activities that we're doing on a daily basis that support the outcome that we want. Right? So hyper awareness in all of these different stages, I find to be incredibly, incredibly important. The next bucket that I want to go into is how we react when we have asymmetrically strong performance or asymmetrically weak performance. And what I mean by this is that there will be periods of time in which we have 75, 85, even 90% win rates for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I consider that asymmetrically strong performance. There will be periods of time where we have sub 50% win rates. May even be a period of time where over the course of 10 trades, you go 2 and 8 for 20% win rate. These things happen. So how do we deal with that? How do we make sense of that? And what I find to be most important is to approach each of these experiences and periods of time with humility. You'll hear people say that, when they went through a very challenging period of time, they ultimately hit rock bottom, they were humbled. And really what that means is that they realized that they were not in control, that there's a higher power, that God is running the world and bringing this challenge to them to encourage them to grow, to find God, right? And ultimately they realize that they are just a speck of dust on this planet. They were humbled, knowing that God runs the world. But I find it to be equally or even more important to approach periods of tremendous success with humility. So getting humbled works both ways, both when we go through challenging times and tough times, as well as asymmetrically great times. And the danger with not understanding that when you go 18-2 over a 20 trade period and you scale your account by 45% in 11 trading days, if you think that is all you, because you are a genius trader that is going to continue to go on this extraordinary run, that you are that skilled, that you are that phenomenal, that you are that guy, you will begin to play these games of mental gymnastics with yourself, where you'll ask yourself the question, well, what if I had, I'm so good. Why am I sized at 20% of my account or 30% of my overall account? What if I was sized at double? What if I was sized at 40 or 50 or 60% of my account and I went on this crazy run? Well, instead of 45% growth, I would have been able to double my account in 11 trading days. And when we have a bloated ego, when we let our ego creep in and fool ourselves into thinking that this asymmetrically strong performance is due to us just being so fantastic, rather than us just being overwhelmed with extraordinary blessings from God, we will ultimately abandon some or many of the rules that have gotten us this level of success, that have allowed us to have the opportunity to get this amazing stretch of asymmetric strong performance. Right? We can think that we're better than a disciplined system, that a disciplined system is for someone that's just starting out. But look at me now. I'm a true professional. I'm seeing results that I never thought were possible, and that's because I've refined my skill set to an extraordinary degree. And it is, in the greatest hot streaks where traders get arrogant and ultimately give it all back. The other side is asymmetric weak performance. And the core point that I would make about weak performance and how do we make sense of it, how do we bounce back from it, how do we understand it, is that bad periods of sub 50% win rate, of lack of profitability when you're doing everything right, they are data points in an extraordinary large set of data. Bad periods are data, not failure. Okay. Ultimately, and so what I mean by that is if you go 2 and 8, you have two winning trades, 8 losing trades over a 10 trade period. That is a small set of data of 10 trades over the course of throughout a year, hundreds and hundreds of trades, and ultimately thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of trades throughout your journey. And it is a simple law of statistics that in such a large data set, there will be these periods of asymmetric performance, either positive or negative. And so, one, it's understanding that this is simply data, this is simply math, these things happen. And also, sometimes when it extends a little bit more than something like 5 or 10 trades, challenging periods present a tremendous opportunity for learning, right? We are challenged with these seemingly bad times to push us to grow in ways that we would not have been able to achieve this amount of growth if we had not had this challenging period. And again, this goes for any challenge in life. This challenge is given for you so that you can ultimately refine your skill set to an extent that you would not have been able to achieve had you not had this challenge. Right? It's a chance to experiment within the system. Think wider stop losses when I'm experiencing this level of volatility. Right? It's a chance to identify when market conditions change, how are you to adapt? In certain choppy environments, you favor different types of setups. And so to recap, there's two parts to asymmetrically challenging times and how to think about it. One is, in a limited small data set of 8 or 10 trades, we understand that it is the natural flow of things within a large data set. We will experience asymmetrically challenging times, asymmetrically strong times, and these are one of these asymmetrically negative times of our performance. And beyond that, if it is beyond something like 8 or 10 trades, if it's a losing month, for instance, we are pushed with that challenge to make improvements, to refine ourselves, and reach a level that we would not have otherwise been able to achieve. So that the next time we find ourselves in this position, right? Think about April of 2025. For anyone that was trading in that time with this immense volatility, if that was your first time trading through a time like that, and you went through a bit of a challenging time where you're taking amazing setups, your thesis is not invalidated, you're getting stopped out at 70% plus of your trades, and you ultimately realize that had you had a 5% wider stop, you would have been able to weather that volatility. You would have been able to stay in the trade and see that follow through. You would have been able to see that trade through. You are now equipped and you've refined your skill set. You've improved your skill set to the point where the next time that a period of price action presents itself that's very similar, you know exactly how to approach it. And had you not had that challenging bout in April, where you had a really challenging bit of performance for a few weeks, a month, 6 weeks, you would not have been able to elevate to that level as a trader. The last thing that I want to speak to before we transition over to our state of the world discussion with my dad, who's just jumped on with us, is our non-negotiable rules that we make a commitment to abide by, and the importance of abiding by them, of staying true to your word. And for me, a simple one would be if my first two trades of any session are full stop outs, I am done for the session. There's no one more trade to fix it, right? Those rules that we define for ourselves are a part of our trading identity, are there for a reason. They are there to protect your capital, to mitigate your risk, to protect your psychology, to prevent the revenge trading and sort of tilt that destroys 99% of people who play this game of trading. Nearly everyone who opens up a trading account and starts to day trade blows their account. It's not that they lose money, it's that their account goes to zero. And the rules that we give ourselves are there to make it impossible for that to ever happen to us, right? It's very important to meditate on this idea and to truly internalize it, that if I follow these pretty basic rules, I will literally beat 90% plus of people who play this game because I've now made it impossible to blow my account. The last thing that I'll say on this is, Jerry spoke about this beautifully a couple of weeks ago, where he explained, and it actually brought me back to watching Zero Dark 30, the movie about taking out Osama bin Laden, where this team of SEALs practice. I don't remember what number of iterations. It was dozens of backup plans that they had before they went into their mission. And each backup plan that they had, they practiced, many, many times. They were complete experts and savages, and each of these had anything gone wrong, whatever may have happened live in their mission, they were prepared to adapt in necessary manner to execute at the highest possible level. And they were prepared beforehand by means of, if X happened, they did Y. If Y happened, they pivoted to Z. And they were not relying on their real-time, emotionally driven decision making to ultimately get a good outcome. So these rules and the rules that we create for ourselves serve this very purpose, where we tell ourselves, if my first trade does this, I do this. If this is my performance on a Wednesday morning, so far this week, and my first trade looks like this, I do this. What emotionless trading does not mean is that we don't experience emotions. We are human beings and we are emotional beings. What it means is that we do not make decisions based on the emotions that we feel. And we want to put as many fences between us and the decision as possible to prevent us from needing to rely on our emotions at all, from relying on any bit of our real-time intellect as possible. I recently put the candle information table, the indicator that Chad Conklin made on my chart, because it hit me that that's one more thing that we can add to our process that protects us from having to make a real-time decision. So all of these rules that we have protect us from relying, because we've just discussed earlier, we are not geniuses. We are not these incredibly not human-like beings, right? Where we can make these extraordinary real-time decisions. We will make massive mistakes if we do that. So if you don't decide in advance, your emotions will decide for you, and it won't be pretty. Okay? So just to quickly recap here, be aware of the phase that you're in your journey. This ultimately prevents unrealistic expectations and allows you to progress exactly as you should. We are to have humility both in our good streaks and our bad streaks, and rules and planning. Having our clearly defined rules, having pre-planned exactly what we are to do if we get XYZ outcome prevents the emotional sabotage that most traders experience. And this is how you stack profitable week after profitable week and winning month after winning month and winning year after winning year, and ultimately see tremendous success in this amazing venture and game that we all play of day trading. Alrighty. So if anyone missed any bit of this discussion, it is recorded. We will upload it to the portal. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, as always, give me some feedback on your takeaways, etc.